Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media, your home of humanitarian journalism. And in a bit, we'll be revisiting a very, very important conversation. Inaid Wadi had a host of, I think, really, really wonderful panelists yesterday on his show, Wednesday Nights with Inaid Wadi. And the discussion there was the issue of South Africans serving in the IDF. And we'll be playing a snippet from that conversation. If you want to watch the full interview, you can go to our YouTube page, search Salam Media and Wednesday Nights with Inaid Wadi, and you should be able to get the full page. But this snippet right here is very, very important, and I feel like everyone needs to take a listen to it. Here it goes.
Yes, indeed. If I follow on from what Yusha said, I agree 100%. We have to call out our government's hypocrisy. You call it what it is. You can't go to the ICJ, take a case against Israel to the highest court, and then you don't take the necessary action on a local level. So, why is the Israeli embassy still open? I heard that South Africa is even still supplying coal to Israel. What is going to happen with the arrest of South Africans who have participated in the IDF? We need real action. We can't have a president who talks the talk at the UN, but there is no action. Former Minister Naledi Pandor was talking in Pretoria this past weekend, again saying how much we owe to the president, because if it was not for him, the case would not have gone to the ICJ. And that's all good and well, but it's time for other action, more harsh action. Following on from what Paul said about red lines, if I quote from the IOL article, paragraph that says, one member of the battalion, a 22-year-old man, told the documentary crew that there is a line that Palestinians do not know about. Anyone in his line of sight would be shot. He said, anyone of military age walking near the bombardment is a terrorist. Now, this may or may not be Aaron Bayhat, the South African, but, we have seen that the IDF is targeting anyone, not just people of military age. We look at the case of little 6-year-old Hind Rajab. They knew that the ambulance from the Red Cross Society was on their way to a 6-year-old girl. They had gotten permission from the IDF to approach her, and still they killed her. They shot 355 bullets at a 6-year-old girl who at that age has no clue why she's in this situation to begin with. Let's talk about the US elections. Yes, they are starting to change their tune, but it's a little too late. I think that young people cannot be swayed. We don't have short-term memory. We've seen what has happened over the past year. And so many young people have woken up. Young Jewish people are standing firmly against what the Zionist regime is pushing. Whether you vote for Biden, Kamala Harris, or you vote for Donald Trump, it's two shoes of the same pair, right? It's just soft Zionism and hard Zionism, and you just need to choose one of them. But I think young people are actually learning or have figured out that there is a third option, and I'm hoping that a lot of young people in America vote for Dr. Jill Stein. We have to think very carefully as a society what the repercussions will be for Aaron Bayhat. I have my own ideas, and I hope that we see some action from our government.
Paul, Umayya says young people being swayed. And I'm just looking at it from a perspective where we're talking about Aaron Bayhat now. Now, this is a young 22-year-old South African, and barely out of school, barely out of university. But young people are being swayed because at a young age of 22, being a member of a ghost unit, a sniper unit, tells us that we have forces working within this country that are influencing and that are impacting on young people like Aaron Bayhat to join the IDF to be part and parcel of a genocidal military apparatus, to the extent that even, he's just one of them. The other day, when we've heard about the attack from Lebanon, the drone attack at the Israeli military base as well, when you look at the ages of the people, when you look at how young some of these people that were killed, 18, 19-year-olds, and young people seem to be the target, to be part and parcel of this brutal military apparatus.
Yes, Inayet, there's a whole socialization process that you go through in South Africa, not only in South Africa, but speaking for myself in South Africa, you go through from a very young age as a Jewish person, and Israel becomes central to your identity as a Jew, and the rest of the world becomes an anti-Semitic threat that you need to have the state to run for cover, okay? And this is something that's actually very highly organized and structured. So if you look at the SA Zionist Federation, which is the proxy for the State of Israel in South Africa, I did a sort of organizational chart of all their members, okay? From the religious organizations, both Reform and Orthodox, through to the youth movements, both religious and secular, Zionist youth movements, through to voluntary organizations like the JNF and the Morgan David Adom, the sort of Red Cross equivalent, and there are many, many others that one can add in also.
World-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Albait has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaitlodge.co.za.
Searching for elite local and international investment and advisory services from an award-winning firm? Look no further than the Belmont Mayer Group, your gateway to unparalleled investment and wealth management. At Belmont Mayer, we believe in the art of wealth creation, a meticulous process fueled by our unwavering commitment to excellence. With a focus on providing elite alternative investments and quality advice, we also pride ourselves on maximizing value for our esteemed investors, as seen through our consistent outperformance. Your financial success is our top priority. Join us at Belmont Mayer and experience the difference firsthand. Ready to embark on a journey of greatness? Contact us today. Reach out to the Belmont Mayer Group on 078 786 1698. Call or WhatsApp or email us at info@belmontmayer.com. Elevate your financial future with Belmont Mayer, where every detail matters.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
The SA Zionist Federation sits at the center of this, and it controls it. The educational institutions, the Jewish educational institutions, I think it's called the Federation of Jewish Schools or something in South Africa, also an affiliate. And we came across, I think I may have chatted to you about this on an earlier show. We came across, I think it was, Martin can remind me, I think it was almost a year ago, a video where one of the top teachers at Herzliya School in Cape Town was talking about alumni who, left and went on Aliyah to Israel, and something like 20% of them joined the Israeli army. And when we set up a petition against this, calling for an investigation, because this is violating at least the Regulation of Foreign Military Assistance Act and another 3 pieces of local legislation also. Before that petition got shut down by the petition platform. That's how far the power of these people reach. I don't think any of us here are surprised to hear that. We know that. But before it got shut down, we had an interesting comment from one of the alumni, because there are quite a lot of unhappy alumni from Herzliya who've seen the light. And this comment spoke about how the IDF people arrive in civilian clothes on the campus as part of their recruitment, and how videos are shown which are akin to sort of video games. I remember my son in his very early teens used to play PlayStation games, which are quite dangerous, where you play with your friends and you're hunting so-called funny-looking people, I presume terrorists in inverted commas, and how jokes are made with videos that show this. And one of the comments that this man made was, and Herzliya is mild. We've heard stories from King David that are far more egregious, So I think there's the family, of course, where socialization takes place. Aaron Bayok, I think is his name, apparently matriculated from King David. And I think that's part of where you get socialized into this identity of the Jew and the other, and Israel being the equivalent of being Jewish and, in fact, being able to survive as a Jew. And you sort of set yourself up in this type of ethno-nationalist paranoia almost, us against the rest of the world.
Yes, thank you for the Paul. Martin, as Paul said, we had this discussion in the past as well. But again, when we look at as Paul mentions, we're talking about a highly organized lobby that is operating within South Africa to the extent that young people are indoctrinated to hate, to kill. I mean, Paul speaks about video games, he speaks about PlayStation games, but we're not shocked that this is happening because we know right across the entire world how powerful this Zionist lobby is. And we speak about the US, we speak about the elections that are taking place in the United States. We know the huge influence they have on both the Republicans and also on the Democrats, on Kamala and on Donald Trump. So we are not shocked, but the mere fact that we have this highly organized lobby group operating within our borders, and we seem to be helpless, unable to do anything, unable to stop people like Aaron, leaving our shores, being part of this ghost unit, and obviously being part and parcel of this genocide.
I'm having technical problems. I didn't get everything that you asked in it. I think the audio problems, but I did pick up the question of the Israeli lobby and the power of the Israeli lobby. I think it's obvious to all of us that it's extremely powerful, and part of the power is reliant on the fact that Israel plays a strategic, political, and economic role for US and Western imperialism in the Middle East and generally in the world too, right? So there's a convergence of interest. So it has fertile ground to achieve quite a lot in terms of Israel's political aims and ensuring its continued existence and growth and expansion, and continuing its genocide of the Palestinians, which, as we know, started at least 8 decades ago, right? Ilan Papi referred to it as an incremental genocide. What we're seeing now is an intensification of the genocide over the last year. And what's quite astounding is how influential this lobby is. If we just look at it from a different angle, people's views of, let's say, so-called terrorist groups or gangs, violent gangs around the world. If you take, for example, our position or views of the Burmese regime in relation to the Rohingya, or Mexican and Colombian drug cartels, or the terror of ISIS in Syria and Iraq, etc., etc. Now, of course, all of these groups, entities, organizations, regimes have committed horrific crimes, right? And our views of them are probably reasonably accurate from a political or moral or ethical perspective. And we oppose them, right? But how do you explain then that a regime like Israel, which for 8 decades has committed arguably much worse atrocities to the Palestinian people and the people of the Middle East, and yet it's seen, in a fairly decent light. It's even argued, it's even said that it's the only democracy in the Middle East, for example. And yet, even now, if you just look at the mainstream media, it's still portrayed as some kind of decent, humane regime that's part of the international community, etc., etc. And we can see then that this has got a lot to do with media. If you look at Hollywood and the films that Hollywood has produced over the last 6 decades at least, both before the Second World War and after, but more intense after, there are more films about the Holocaust of Jewish people in Europe than any other group in the world, as far as I'm aware, right? No mention about the Roma people who were also killed in the thousands, socialists or communists, trade unionists who were also killed and massacred by the Nazis, etc. But the Jews are highlighted as the most important group, and the worst atrocities were committed against them. And I'm not suggesting that, that it shouldn't be covered in the media or in our history, etc. But we can see what is at play here. So there's Hollywood, of course, many films, even up to now, films about the Holocaust are still being produced. And then, of course, the news outlets. Every day we can see how BBC, CNN portrays, Zionist Israeli people in relation to the Palestinians. The Israelis are humanized all the time. The Palestinians is very distant. They just, people being killed as if they, animals there ready for the slaughter. So it's interesting how this Zionist lobby is able to influence not only the politicians in Congress, and we know that the majority of them are supported in their campaigns for election. So there's a strong dependency of US politicians on this lobby and other lobbies as well. And it's all legal. Here we would say it's corruption, it's bribery. And then, as I said, the media. And this is constant. We're bombarded with this all the time. And the Palestinians are dehumanized in the present situation. So we need to have a look at how we can strategize to overcome all the areas that this lobby is influential in. And I believe that mass movements in America, that's been a great start, with particularly young people, people who've historically been oppressed, Black people, Latinos in America joining and seeing for now the true face, the horror of US imperialism, which affects them at home as well. So I think that's a good start. And the other area, of course, is the media. And very importantly, and what's been disappointing about the new South Africa is education, particularly around the education of history. We tried doing some work with grade 11 students a few years ago, and we were appalled at how the Middle East and Israel and Palestine is being portrayed. There's this notion of neutrality, and the main thing that gets taught, in grade 11 and history generally, is how to understand and see bias in the way history is written, and very little about the history is being taught itself. So we need to look at all of those areas and work at it, and particularly pressurize our government to change, to get towards a situation of real transformation in this country, politically, in every sphere of life, and in this case, particularly education. And of course, our media also needs serious transformation. It's really been bad about covering the SABC, the public broadcaster, has been really bad about covering what's happening to the Palestinians at the moment.